All righty, so it has hit 6 o'clock on my computer, so I think we can go ahead and get started. So good evening again, and welcome to our Student and Family Town Hall, focusing on NKU's approach to coordinated care and student support. My name is Ryan Page, and I'm the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment and Student Success here at NKU, and I'll be serving as your moderator for this evening's event. So some of you may be asking, so what exactly is coordinated care? And I promise by the end of this evening's town hall, you'll have a much clearer sense of how NKU supports our students in this approach. Now, this evening's agenda is fairly straightforward. I will ask each of the NKU panelists to introduce themselves and the important role they play in supporting our students. I will then provide a brief presentation, and then we will turn it over to you to ask any questions you may have for this panel. We ask you to go ahead. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see those row of icons on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and ask you to open up the Q&A, because that's where you're going to be able to submit your questions. You can actually even begin doing that now and throughout this evening's event. So if you hear something that piques your interest or would like clarification, please, in that Q&A box, feel free to ask any question that you may have. And you can begin again to write your questions starting now, even as we're going through the presentation. And then when we get to the Q&A, we'll be prepared and ready to start answering those questions. So before we move on to the questions in the presentation, please allow me to turn it over to our NKU representatives on this panel to introduce themselves. And I'm going to ask Leah, will you please begin for us?
Sure. Good evening. I'm Leah Stewart. I'm an Vice President for Enrollment and Financial Assistance, working closely with the Office of Admissions, as well as the Financial Assistance Office. Admissions, taking care of all of your admissions needs. Taking care of your application process, the review of your high school transcripts and any other credentials that you submit, and basically welcoming you to the NKU family. And then financial assistance, working closely with you and your parents on ways to finance your education. So that goes from scholarships to any grants, gift assistance, any federal work study, which is student employment, and then any of the federal loan programs, and then the whole suite of our institutional aid programs. Perfect. And again, welcome.
Thank you, Leah. Anna.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Streicher, and I am the Director of Advising in the College of Education. And so I am here to talk to you guys about advising, answer your advising questions. And so a little bit about kind of how we approach advising at NKU. We're really here as your guide and your support for all things related to your journey through your time at NKU. That comes anywhere from scheduling classes to interpreting policies, procedures, any questions that you have about your time at NKU and how to navigate going through this process. That's exactly what your advisor is for. And so any questions related to that, I'm happy to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. Amy.
Hello, welcome. My name is Amy Clark. I am the Director of Counseling Services here at NKU, and I am in the Department of Health, Counseling, and Student Wellness. My role is to oversee the clinical staff, the therapists, and the counselors that we have on staff here, and kind of oversee the counseling and mental health needs of our students, which we know is incredibly crucial right now. In addition to kind of my office providing individual and group therapy, we also do some outreach services. So I am here to talk about anything counseling or mental health related, any questions you might have related to that. I am happy to answer for you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Peg.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peg Adams. I'm the Director of UCAP, University Connect and Persist. And our office is here to help students get connected to the many resources that we have at NKU to connect with the people who can help them through their journey. We have a number of services that are very popular. The lending library is one such service that enables students to borrow a free textbook for the full semester. And we also do outreach to students, especially if there's been an alert submitted so that we can help with any challenges or issues that may be coming up. We want students to be successful, and we're here to join you in that journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Peg. Tiffany.
Good evening, New Norse. My name is Tiffany Mays, and I'm the director for the Center of Student Engagement. So what does that mean? Basically, we are in charge of a lot of the fun things on campus, but we're fun with a purpose. We're here to help you not only make friends, but also help you maybe possibly find a major through clubs and organizations. We have about 200 active student organizations, and they range from 9 different areas of engagement. So at your Northern exposure, you will take a quiz, and we will help you navigate those 9 areas of engagement and help you find a couple of organizations that are specifically for you. We are also home of the Northern Kentucky Leadership Institute, so make sure you look out for Freshman Service Leadership Committee, because we are looking for great new leaders who are going to do wonderful service work and get really engaged at NKU. We also have our programming board. We plan Fresh Fusion, again, a lot of the fun things, student organization rallies, and we're also home to our fraternity and sorority life here at NKU. So welcome, and we can't wait to help you get involved and engaged on our campus.
Thank you, Tiffany. And Bill.
Good evening. I'm Bill Froud. I'm the Director of Career Services, and my office is involved with helping you all the way through the process of choosing a major, to looking for an internship or a co-op, finding a full-time job after college, and or looking at graduate schools. So we take you through that whole process to help and make it so that after you graduate from NKU, you've got a career plan in place. And so our website is one of the best resources, and you can go to it anytime you want to right now, is nku.edu/career services. Click on students and away you go. So looking forward to answering any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bill. And again, for those that are just joining us, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see your icons there. If you open up your Q&A icon, you'll be able to ask any type of questions throughout this evening's event. So again, you have a really beautiful snapshot of campus. And there's a number of other departments and programs we can highlight and probably will highlight throughout this evening's event. But the opportunity to ask specific questions, maybe about internships and co-ops, or maybe the price of a counseling session, or specifically, what happens during an advising session. You have this really good snapshot of campus. So any type of question, big or small, we really encourage you to ask that. We don't want you to leave here with any unanswered questions. And again, this time is dedicated to you, so you'll be able to get a response to anything that you have a question about. And also in the bottom of that screen, you see Lauren Moore there. She's behind the scenes working the magic to make sure everything is running smoothly. And I'm actually going to ask Lauren right now, if you wouldn't mind please displaying the brief presentation we're going to go through real quick. Excellent. All righty. So again, we're really going to be covering NKU's approach to coordinated care. And again, I started off by saying, well, what is coordinated care? And as we go through this presentation, our hope is that you get a really good idea. We're going to use an analogy to really illustrate how we support our students and how we've really transitioned, especially over the last year and a half, what we've learned from supporting students both in person and virtual, and how we're going to be utilizing that in the future from those kind of lessons learned. So next slide, please, Lauren. I want to briefly highlight a couple of these slides. If you attended last week's presentation, some of these slides are the exact same, but for those that are new, and I think it really is a good idea to also kind of reiterate some of these points. The president a few weeks back announced our Back to the Future and how NKU will start to look like in the fall. So for this upcoming fall semester, just to reiterate, courses will be in person, hybrid, and online. The way we really think this through and how we thought about this is NKU will be the university you need us to be. If you want all in-person classes, we can make that work. If you're looking at a hybrid model because you maybe want to work a little bit part-time, and that hybrid model having some classes in person and some classes online works for you, we can make that work again with your academic advisor. Or if, through this pandemic, a lot of our students really enjoyed that online experience because it provided more flexibility if they had families that they were caring for or full-time jobs. Again, we'll be able to cater you to make sure that you'll have those online classes. So this is this new approach coming out of this pandemic where, yes, the majority of our classes are going to be in person, but we still have a significant selection of classes online so that we can meet you where you would like your schedule to be. The residence halls for fall will be open, as well as events and activities will be on campus. You're going to hear a lot about that from Tiffany. We know that was one of the big things that students missed during this last year, was those kind of on-campus events and social activities and that socialization that is so imperative and important here on campus. And we'll talk a little bit about what that'll look like and the opportunities to engage in these on-campus events. And again, even though we are starting to move back to in-person, we will still be supporting students 100% virtually. That is one of those lessons that we learned, that we don't necessarily have to just meet students in person in an office, that we can do it over Zoom or we can do it over Teams. And so all the support departments here on campus are going to be able to be walk-in and be able to meet with someone in person, or if you just need to have a drop-in session with someone in Zoom for 5 minutes, that option will be available to you as well. So again, kind of holistically looking at that, then we are looking at a renewed focus on providing this tech enhance that we've learned through the pandemic, and how we coordinate our academic and social support network for you so that you have this wraparound support here on campus. So Lauren, next slide, please. So one of the things we want to highlight, because this is a question that we get frequently, both on the phone and email, and I know admissions is getting a lot of questions around this, as well as our continuing students. So do our students need to get vaccinated before they come back on campus? And NKU is not requiring that students get the COVID-19 vaccination. It is strongly encouraged, and it is strongly recommended, especially for students who will be living in university housing, obviously because of the close proximity of everything. But again, it is not a requirement, but strongly recommended. Again, we have Amy here who can talk both from the counseling perspective as well as provide some insight to our health services. So health services will provide treatment and testing for common illnesses and injuries. Basically, we have a few nurses here on campus, but at the same time, they will be providing COVID testing throughout the summer and the fall as well. And then Amy is here to talk a little bit more in depth about this, but counseling services will continue to provide therapy to students for a variety of mental health conditions, as Amy talked about, from anxiety, depression, relationship issues, and anything else that has come up either recently through the pandemic or is ongoing. We are here to continue to support you through that. So next slide, please, Lauren. So transitioning then to what this coordinated care approach looks like. Again, our student support offices will be providing support on campus if you'd like to be here on campus in person, or if you're in between classes and would like to stop into tutoring. At the same time, we will be providing those virtual support. And so when we say we're going to be delivering a holistic coordinated approach to supporting student success, what does that actually mean and what does that look like? So I'm going to ask Lauren, go ahead and give us the next slide here. And this is a nice illustration of what we mean by coordinated care. So let me start off with an analogy, an example for how NKU looked at how we can best support our students both now and moving forward. So we actually look towards the healthcare model. And so the example would be, if you were to go to the emergency room with an injury or needed just to go to an emergency room for something, the first place you go is to a triage desk. You basically say, hey, I have blank, need help with assistance here. And the triage will provide that immediate triage to make sure everything's taken care of for you right then and there. And then they will refer you then or get you to kind of a specialist. So for example, in this analogy here on campus, if you had a question about financial aid and you went into any of our offices and said, hey, I've got a question about financial aid and scholarships, we'll provide whatever immediate support you need so that you get that question and that support immediately. But then we work as a coordinated team here on campus to make sure we get you to the department or the office that you need to get that full support. And so when we look at coordinated care, we really look at it kind of as 5 spokes, if you were to think of it as a wheel, or 5 areas. The first is obviously your academics, the academic support you will have both inside and outside the classroom. The second will be that career readiness that is so strongly tied to the academic transitions and the academic support you'll have here. Again, we want to make sure you have both a academic and major plan aligned with a career plan. If you're in this major, what are you looking to do with this major so that during your time at college, we're able to provide you with co-ops and internships to make sure that you have that support so that you're competitive when you go out into the job force. Financial well-being, obviously affordability is such a key component, but even in addition to affordability and looking at tuition and aid and scholarships, even the cost of books or those unmet needs. We also want you to be financially well, in terms of financial well-being, we want you to be prepared. So thinking long-term, you may have thought about how are you going to pay for this semester, but have you thought about how you're going to pay for the next 2, 3, 4 years? Have you developed similar to an academic and a career plan, have you developed a financial plan? And how do all those things work together? Personal well-being, both from physical and mental. We've talked about that, how important that has been through the pandemic. We have those resources here on campus, and we actually have been investing more into the mental health support for our students on campus. We know then that students, to be supported and to do well inside the classroom, there's a lot of things that go outside the classroom that you need support for. So we want to make sure we're providing that holistic support. And lastly, as Tiffany talked about, engagement. This is so critical. Engagement not only provides a sense of belonging here on campus and an opportunity to engage in some really cool activities, but as Tiffany alluded to, these are really important engagement activities that will prepare you not only for maybe leadership inside the classroom or those soft skills that employers are looking for, but employers are really looking for when you leave college, what does your resume look like? What did you do in addition to balancing a home life and balancing an academic life? Did you get involved? If you're looking to go into med school, did you do any philanthropy or community service to show that you were giving back to the community and to others? So these are really important things. And as Tiffany highlighted, we have 9 areas of engagement. So if you're looking for anything from faith-based to a fraternity or sorority, we really do have the gamut of any opportunity, any organization that you're even thinking about. If we don't have it, you can create it. And so again, when we look at this coordinated care approach, we have these areas, but it's coordinated because we work with one another in these departments to make sure that you're supported. We have technology, and we have a department such as University Connect and Persist, and we have our student conduct rights and advocacy who work very closely with you throughout this process, so that if you were to come in, for example, and meet with Peg in UCAP, and during those conversations, she said, wait a sec, you actually are talking about some opportunities for a career or a resume. She will connect you through our coordinated care approach to career services, so that someone from career services reaches out and says, hey, I noticed that you're going for a job. You want me to review your resume? And if by chance that job is something that we have an alumni connection to, or something that is connected to Tiffany, that the person in that coordinator in career services could reach out to Tiffany in engagement and say, hey, we've got someone that's applying for a position of something that you know a little bit about. Can you help provide some additional insight? And so this is how we work together. We don't want to work in silos where you just go to career services and they only provide career support. They really are making sure each of these departments and all the departments across campus are working together, not only with each other, but with your faculty. University Connect and Persist get faculty referrals saying, hey, this student made a comment in class I think we should follow up on. Maybe it's about an internship, or hey, this student is really struggling and not showing up to class. Can someone reach out from health counseling or UCAP to make sure you have that support for that student? So again, that's what coordinated care is. When you go into a hospital, you go in with one thing, but you have a whole team making sure we get you back to health. That's what we do here on campus too. You walk into an office, you may not even be in the right office, but we're going to make sure we provide that support that you need right then and there, and we provide that wraparound support so that you do well and have everything that you need, so that your focus is not on everything else out in the world, but your focus is in on the classroom so you can be successful academically, and we're there to help support that. So that's what the coordinated care model is. And so of course, we want to then turn it over to you, Lauren, if you want to go ahead and get us back to our screen of the Brady Bunch screen of all the squares, if you will. And we want to turn it over to you. So you've heard about some of these departments, you've heard about some of these services, and we want to be able to address any questions that you may have. And we know one of the big ones, and this is the one I'm going to turn over to Tiffany to start us off with, and then we'll go to the questions coming in through chat and through the Q&A. Is Tiffany, obviously we're heading towards more in-person activities, and this is something students have been asking for and really desiring over the last year. So when a student comes on campus to either attend a student event or meet with a student organization, or maybe attend an SGA meeting, or maybe even needs just to go into career services, does that student need to be vaccinated just to come on campus to meet with any of these offices or student organizations?
No vaccinations are required to visit campus. So of course we encourage you. Masks are required. Everyone who is working in the union, and we're at about 60% capacity as far as, you know, the amount of people. So my full staff of 4, only 1 or 2 of us is in the office at a time. And then we have a student who's at the front to help you as well. So every day from at least 8:15 to 4:30, someone will be there to greet you and help you. But again, they will be behind plexiglass. They will be wearing a mask. You will be asked to wear a mask, but vaccines are not required now. To my knowledge, they won't be required in the fall, and they are currently not required for the students who are getting ready to move on campus, which is so exciting. I can't wait to meet so many of you at move-in day. But right now, I mean, it is your personal choice, but until we further notice, masks are 100% required on campus.
And so we have our North 9, which are the safety measures to not only protect the students and the staff and the faculty, but to do everything we can. And as we transition, again, as we talked about, as we transition into fall and we become more and more in person, we're still going to have those safety measures in place to protect everybody. And then the president and others will be sharing throughout the summer and the fall as we continue to progress forward, changes into those safety measures as they become available. But yeah, absolutely. You'll be able to come on campus and to engage, meet with other students. As Tiffany said, you know, we've been going through the student union as the weather's been getting nicer and more students are on campus sitting outside studying. So campus is starting to slowly open up, and we're going to be here to support you both, like I said, in person and virtually. So we did have a question that came in about, is it possible if I come, can I come in person and check campus out and discuss my questions face-to-face with any type of department? And so I'll open it up to anybody. Lee, I see you nodding your head. Maybe do you want to jump in? I see you were the one nodding your head first. So can this person come on campus and start meeting with others and kind of maybe take tours and other things around campus?
Yeah, so absolutely. We are offering campus tours, both virtually as well as on campus tours. And so you can visit the Office of Admissions, where the tours actually start in our Welcome Center. We also staff a one-stop student service office or center that's in the administrative center, where we have staff from the registrar's office, admissions office, and we also have some admissions presence there, and as well as to help our student veterans, a presence there. And so we can service you in person. Again, if you want to come in, just look at our office hours. At this point, it's 8:15 to 4:30. We may have some modified hours during the summer. But yes, we welcome you to come in on campus, either by appointment or walk in to assist you in meeting whatever your needs are.
And the one thing I might add to that too is Leah concluded there. If you're looking for a specific department, now most departments on campus do have a staff member here, but some of our smaller departments, because of the safety measures we have in place, are flexing their days. So working some days on campus and some days online. So if there's a specific department you are looking, I would strongly recommend you kind of email out there and saying, hey, I'm going to be on campus next Thursday. I just want to see somebody in the office that I could stop by and have a chat with. Absolutely. So Anna, we have a couple questions around advising. And I'll keep them kind of high level. I know sometimes for advising, there's some really specific targeted questions about maybe changing a major or a specific question about a course. But kind of high level, if a student is coming in and transferring in from another institution and has some credits, how will they know how many classes or years they will have at NKU? And maybe do you want to talk about the process you would have with a student that's transferring in and how advising supports them?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I will say probably now, I've been in higher education for a long time, but nowadays, a lot of our students, almost all of them, come in with credits from someplace else, right? Dual credit from high school, or, perhaps you took a couple of classes at a community college near your house, or you've even spent the first, year and a half to 2 years at a community college or another institution and you're transferring. So that's actually one of the things that your advisor is exactly here for, is to help you figure out how do those classes that you are bringing from those other institutions, how do those map onto your major or career plan? And then based on how that map looks, where, how do you complete the rest of your program? So one of the things that the university has that was implemented a couple of years ago is we actually have an academic planning system. So our system actually allows us to work with each individual student to put together an academic plan. And we do that based on the requirements for the major you've chosen. And we literally plot out every single class that you're going to take semester by semester, from the semester you start to the semester you're going to graduate. So that's actually something that you'll do right alongside your advisor, right pretty much when you start in the program. So that's a really great tool. And so that's one of the ways that you will kind of know how long it's going to take you to graduate based on how many credit hours you've already completed, and then how many credit hours and courses that you still have left in your specific major. So we have a lot of tools that will help you to know that as early as we can possibly give that information to you. But that's a great question. That's actually something our advisors will start talking to all of our new students about the very first time we meet with you is, do you have credits from someplace else? Let's talk about what those are and how those will work with the major that you've actually chosen.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. And I'm going to go ahead and give you another question, if you don't mind. This specific question is around their son has selected a major in biological science, but is also thinking about accounting. Do you want to talk a little bit about how, when you're meeting with the student and they're thinking about double majoring or maybe taking on a minor, some of the conversations you have with the student as they're thinking through those decisions? Sure.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways that we approach students when they say, well, I've picked this major, but I also have interests in these things. I'm not really sure which way I want to go. There's a couple of options. And part of the discussion at the beginning is, so let's think about how those majors could work together, right? Is there an opportunity for students to do a double major? There are sometimes students who want to do both things that they're interested in, and we, have to kind of navigate that. And the nice thing about that is that you get an advisor in each place, and we work together to kind of figure out how that works. The other possibility for students who are thinking of, two different things is there a possibility to do one as a major, one as a minor? So we do have minor options in pretty much everything. And so, a minor is a smaller number of credits in a particular area. And so sometimes students will do, a biology major and an accounting minor, perhaps. And we would, again, just kind of like the first question, we would try to figure out how do all those credits and classes go together, right? How do we get them all done? Where do they all go? All that kind of stuff. The other piece to this is if you're, you're not thinking about double majoring, you're not sure you want to do a whole minor, but you're sort of, I don't know if I want to do biology. I don't know if I want to do, accounting. I'm not really sure which way I want to go yet. We have a number of ways for you to explore those things. One is, so Bill is on the webinar here about career services. So career services has a lot of tools that we in advising would connect you with that could help you kind of decide which way you want to go. But the other thing that we do offer to our first year students specifically is our University 101 class. Our University 101 class is an intro to the university, intro to college. It covers a lot of things, but one of the biggest things it covers is career exploration, major exploration. There is a whole project specifically designed for you to look at different majors. You would talk to somebody in biology, talk to somebody in accounting. And that would probably be, that's one of the things that if you have the first conversation with your advisor and you say, hey, I'm kind of between two things. One of the things they're going to suggest is, I think that University 101 would be a great place for you to start because you're going to get this chance to explore. The other thing that's really nice about the way that our university is kind of set up is the majority of the classes you're going to start with are general education courses. So they're going to be courses that are going to count in a lot of different places. So if you do start in biology, you take a couple classes for your first semester and then you change to accounting, there's usually no harm there. You're really taking stuff that's going to be beneficial no matter where you are. So there's a lot of ways for you to explore that. And that's one of the things that your advisor will absolutely help you do right from the very beginning.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much, Anna.
Sure.
So we do have a question. What type of support is provided to students if there is a death in the family or if the student suffers a serious injury or illness? Is there any overarching university policy for excused absences, or is it at the discretion of each faculty member? So let me first take answer at the beginning here. I'm going to turn it over to Amy to provide a little bit more context. So here at the university, we have a department called Student Conduct, Rights, and Advocacy, and they really are the office to protect the rights of the student. So we do have a code of conduct as well as a student handbook. And in there, we do have policies in place to protect students should an illness come up or if there is a death in the family. Now they work with the faculty to go through some of those decisions, but overall, yes, we do have policies in place to protect the students. So Amy, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of from that perspective, from our counseling services perspective, as far as the services available, we, especially within this last year with COVID, we see students who are struggling with significant loss, whether in death and illness and all sorts of grief. And so we are here to kind of support students in that. Like I kind of mentioned previously, we do provide ongoing counseling. So that can be like whatever is going to work best for the student. Oftentimes that might be, weekly sessions to kind of support them and guide them. Currently, we are providing both in-person services as well as what we call telehealth services through video and the phone. So that would be an option as well for the student. Kind of in addition to that, we kind of going along with kind of like the coordinated care approach is that as your therapist, right, what we talk about is confidential and we want to kind of help the student go through that grieving process, but we also are going to connect you to other services that can be supportive to you. Here at NKU, we have what we call a community care team, which is also a group of individuals who are brought together to kind of discuss students who are struggling and kind of what we can do to kind of be most effective for them and help them be successful. And we know that there are times where the student is impacted by something traumatic or for whatever reason is unable to attend class or finish the semester. And so we kind of, we work together to kind of do what's best for those students and provide kind of that care and comfort for them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amy. Greatly appreciate it. We do have a question that came in. How would you describe the diversity of your campus? I'll go ahead and provide a response to that answer, provide a snapshot, and then I also want to couple it with how the university approaches what we do here on campus, because we believe firmly that we are a steward of place. And by a steward of places, we know we're a regional institution, and our goal is to support the region as a whole. So to provide just a high-level view of a student snapshot, if you will, to kind of give you an idea of the diversity we have across campus, 20% of our students are underrepresented minorities. 45% of our undergraduates are first-generation students, meaning they're the first in their family to attend college. Approximately 1 out of 3 students here on campus is considered low income or classified by low income is from the federal government. And around 40% of our students are actually adult learners, so over the age of 25. And so we really do have an amazing diversity and collection of students that really are here both virtually. We have online programs. So we have students all the way out in Montana, North Dakota taking classes here, even to more of our residential campus, where about 2/3 of our students are here in Kentucky. And so another thing I really want to highlight, because I think it's important when we're having that conversation, is the university has a plan in place, and it's called Success by Design. It's the strategic plan of the university, where the university is saying these are the priorities that we put in place to support our students in our region. And there's about 15 objectives that we really have embedded within that plan. I want to highlight a couple of them as it pertains to your question. And so one of the things that we really look at from an access perspective is in Success by Design is our goal is to increase the number of first generation, post-traditional or adult learners, international and underrepresented students at NKU, particularly in fields where their underrepresentation is most significant. And then when we're looking at not only access, but we're looking at completion, it is really to significantly improve the retention, persistence, and graduation rates of all students with special emphasis on closing the achievement gap through meaningful use of, again, the coordinated care, the student success approaches that we put in place. So again, the university invests in these priorities that we have set forth in our strategic plan. So great question. So another question came in about do students need to make an appointment for in-person interactions? Again, I would strongly just reach out through the rest of this semester to a department if you have one, in particular because that student or that department may not have someone on campus to meet with you on that specific day. Or for example, right now, because we're in the middle of registration for our continuing students or students that are currently here, academic advisors literally are booked from 8 to 5, if not longer, every single day. So if you were looking to meet with a specific advisor, that advisor may have their schedule pretty much full. So it's a good thing just to maybe check in, but for the most part, most campuses or most departments here on campus have walk-in, and like, again, we have UCAP and others on campus that if you walk into an office with a question, even if it's the wrong office, we'll get you there into the right spot.
I would also like to add that we are able to respond to emails, telephone calls. We offer some virtual appointments as well as on-campus appointments. So there are a number of different touch points that are available to our students and our parents to address your needs.
Excellent. Thank you, Leah.
Can I add something to that really quickly?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to add about orientation. So this summer, there will be in-person orientations as well as virtual orientation. So if you are someone who would like to come, to an in-person orientation and, have that face-to-face interaction, there is the option for in-person orientations, and that will be an option for you to have questions answered and to talk to different representatives across campus. So if coming to campus is one of your goals, there's definitely that opportunity this summer with orientation as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And one of the things I would like to elevate from your response there, and I'm going to turn to Bill for this specific question, because I know a lot of times not only are they meeting with their academic advisor, but students are also recommended to go to career services because maybe they are undecided about a major and they have a whole bunch of interests, but are trying to figure out how to align those interests with a major. So Bill, do you want to talk a little bit about that, or maybe even the Focus 2, which is a program or support we have here on campus to help students think through their interests and how they align to their major and career?
Sure, yes. We have many resources, and you can actually see them on our website, as I mentioned before. If you go and click on our website, nku.edu/career services, click on students, and then click on career planning. On that page, we have information about our Focus 2, which is a tool that you can use to find out about your values, interests, and skills. It will also help generate some ideas of possible majors and career choices that could be a good fit for you. And even if you know, or you're pretty sure you have an idea of what major that you want, it's good to do Focus 2 anyway, because it may give you some other ideas that you hadn't thought of before. If you take UNV 101, you will be doing Focus 2. That's part of that assignment that was mentioned earlier. But some students don't do UNV 101, and so you would still be welcome to take Focus 2. Also, I've got a staff with career advisors who you can make an appointment to come see career advisors who will take you through the process, not just Focus 2, but if you needed some additional assessments, they can take you through that. On our website, on that one page I mentioned, there's a resource called What Can I Do with This Major? That's a great resource. If you're not sure, like that one student that's thinking between accounting and biology, you could go into the What Can I Do with This Major? Go in, look at what types of careers go along with biology, what types of careers may go along with accounting, and figure out what might be good choices for you. Keeping in mind that there are many careers that it doesn't matter what your major is in college. There are some that do matter. If you're going to be a nurse, then you want to major in nursing. If you want to be an accountant, you want to major in accounting. But there are many employers that the main thing that they're looking for is the competencies that you've learned while you're in college, and then they will do the rest once they hire you. So keep that in mind. The major does not necessarily equal exact career, but we will help you through that process. We have staff here that can work with you, and it's not just us, it's academic advisors, faculty that you'll be working with, and clubs and organizations, leaders being involved in those types of things where you can really do some exploring. And then finally, getting an internship or a co-op while you're in school is very, very important, so you can get some hands-on experience and see and try out possible careers while you're in school.
Thank you, Bill. And I think you highlighted perfectly, again, that coordinated care approach where they come into your office with this question and you're working with the advisor, you're working obviously with your staff, connecting them to Tiffany and some leadership opportunities and how everything connects together, because the resume is not just an academic resume. The resume is a kind of a whole picture of all their experiences leading up to that point. So thank you, Bill.
And I didn't even talk about the job search stuff, but we have big career fairs that come on campus too. So
yep, we have employers all the time on campus hiring students. Absolutely. So Anna, I'm going to ask you a really quick question because it's kind of a targeted question. Then I'm going to follow up with a couple other kind of larger questions. So if they are majoring in education, which is obviously the college you oversee, are they able to focus on 2 different subjects to teach?
That's a good question. So it depends on the grade level that you're interested in teaching. If you're interested in teaching kindergarten through 5th grade, so elementary, you're actually going to get to learn all the different subject areas. So if you pick middle grades, which is 5th grade through 9th grade, then you will pick 2 areas in terms of language arts, science, social studies, math. And then if you pick secondary, which is high school, you'll actually focus in 1 area. And so it can be a little challenging to do that, to pick multiple areas if you're secondary, because there's so much content that you have to learn. But what I usually tell students, we get a lot of students who want to teach, they know they want to teach, and they're, again, kind of like the major question before, you're kind of in between subject areas or even grade levels. And so one of the things that we'll do with you the first time you meet with your first year advisor is she'll actually talk to you about all the differences in what you can do with the different grade levels, what those actually look like. So it could be possible. It just depends on which grade level you're thinking about.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. I've got a couple quicker questions for you as well, too. Point of clarification. So when they're at orientation and they're registering for classes, are they registering just for the fall or are they registering for the whole academic year?
So we register 1 semester at a time. So you will register for fall first. And so the way that it will actually work is you will be contacted by an advisor, actually probably starting towards the end of April. If you've picked an orientation date, once you pick an orientation date, you will be contacted by an advisor who will actually set up a time to meet with you to actually pick your first semester's worth of classes. So they'll work with you this summer to get into your first semester's worth of classes. And then in the fall, about halfway through the fall semester, you will work with your advisor again to pick the spring semester's classes. So we do things kind of 1 semester at a time.
Perfect. And I don't mean to give you another question back to back here, but a good question about placement testing. We get this a lot. So should placement testing be completed before they start working on their preliminary schedule or before they attend orientation?
Yes, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that you take the placement test sooner rather than later. And the reason is because that allows your advisor to build your schedule. So your advisor is actually going to build your schedule based on any sort of information you give us on the pre-scheduling survey. So if you've given us information ahead of time, any transfer work that we know you have, as well as any placement tests that you've taken. So that gives us the most information possible to be able to build your schedule. Then when we meet with you, we'll go over it, we'll make changes if we need to, whatever. If you've not taken the placement test by then, we'll talk to you about that, and then we'll make an adjustment after you've taken the placement test. But yes, certainly I would suggest take the placement tests as soon as you're ready to, so that you and we, your advisors, have as much information as possible to build your schedule.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah.
Bringing us back to, the coordinated care approach, I'm going to go to Peg for a quick question here, because I think it also illustrates how not only do we work with one another in terms of the departments across campus, but how we work with our faculty, because obviously the faculty are such a key component to your success here on campus and how they really look out for you inside the classroom to make sure you're doing well. Because obviously, as you've heard, I'm sure, through a number of the admissions conversations that we've had with you, and one of the things that we continue to market very strongly are our small class sizes. We're strong believers in that. We don't want to put you into a lecture hall of 500 students, as some universities perhaps just a little bit south of us do. For their first year students, you'll be in classes of 20, 25, 30 students. So the faculty will get to know who you are and you get to meet other students. But Peg, I want to ask you a question. So, when we're looking at coordinated care, your department receives a lot of the referrals from faculty members asking for additional support for the student, or if they see something in the classroom they'd like you to follow up with to make sure that the student is doing well. If a student receives an alert from your team and you send that invitation out to that student and say, hey, we'd like you to come in and meet with a UCAP coordinator, is that student in trouble?
No, that student is fortunate because somebody's paying attention and wants to make sure that they have the best experience they can have and have the resources and guidance that are available here. And NKU has so many wonderful resources. It's hard to know where to go sometimes. And so what our office is able to do is work with students to kind of figure out what the concerns are, what the questions are, the issues, and then match the student with the people and resources that are going to be best suited to help meet those challenges or get the questions answered. And so, you know, we collaborate with our campus partners all the time. If I'm working with a student or anyone on our staff is working with somebody, it's quite possible that, you know, we'll send an email or a chat, you know, chat somebody a message. We'll make phone calls. We'll collaborate. Sometimes we're able to have a meeting with a number of different areas on campus with the student, so the student doesn't have to go to 4 different meetings. There might be, you know, an opportunity for several of us to meet together with the student, and so we can arrange that. We're very, you know, we take a holistic approach to the student experience, and so an alert, please, if there's an alert and we reach out, we're a great, most friendly office, very friendly, and we want to help, and you're not in trouble at all.
I mean, and UCAP all the time has just students stopping in saying, hey, I just need to see someone, I've got a question. And so even stop-ins are welcome at any time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So Tiffany, one of the things that gets highlighted throughout orientation, but is probably one of the more popular events for the first couple of weeks, is around kind of Victorfest and some other events around how students learn about how to get involved in all the different types of organizations. And even if they're not looking to get involved with an organization, maybe they just want to learn about events and activities taking place on campus. Do you want to talk briefly about what those first couple of weeks will look like for them in terms of getting on campus, kind of situating themselves academically, getting used to campus, but then when they're ready to engage, what that looks like?
Sure. Well, it will start off actually at your Northern Exposure Day, the day that you come to campus and get your classes. So between 12 and 2, so I know some of you who are coming in person, face-to-face, will either come in the morning, I think starting at 8, or you will go in the afternoon. So in between the two, between the hours of 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., so depending on when you're coming, come early, plan to stay late, we will have a student organization rally outside of the union. Currently, if it rains, we'll have to cancel it because of the amount of people that we could possibly have inside. So we're all going to do the no rain dance from here out for the month of June for that. So you'll be able to meet not only administration like myself who help you get involved, but you're also going to meet real students. I am a big proponent that people join people, not organizations. That's how people make connections. That's how they make lasting relationships. I'm a 2-time Proud Norse alumni. I have friends that I am still very, very close with, had no idea who they were, didn't know anything, but it's because of my involvement. And it's not a particular organization. I met them through multiple levels and we are still good friends 20 plus years later. So it's just really a good opportunity. So please come to your registration day, which is now called Northern Exposure, with an open mind. Please do not feel shy because our student leaders want to talk to you. Most of them are missing work to be there during the day because they want to meet you. They want to help you become a part of the Norse family and get engaged. And as Ryan alluded, we have very, 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 very social organizations with our fraternity and sorority life to very academically focused organizations. For example, our office has about $60,000 in legacy funding, which is travel funds that we help you attend national conferences for your particular academic major. We have students who have won competitions all over the United States in an academic focus. So we have one extreme to the other. So there is something for everyone. And if we don't have it, we will help you find it. You just need to find 4 friends. It only takes 5 people total to develop a registered student organization on campus, and it's a pretty quick and easy process. We try to make it simple because we want that engagement on our campus because we know there are lots of interest and that's what we want. That's why we have over 200 student organizations and we have, you know, different ones each year. So Ryan was talking about the first 2 weeks. Victorfest, what's that? Well, Victorfest is basically our version of Welcome Week. It will start on the Thursday with move-in, and basically for the next 10 days, we do nothing. I don't sleep, but I'm used to it. Been doing it for 22 years here. So we will start with move-in. We will have Fresh Fusion, which is just a huge party. We will have probably 200 different groups, some are community, some of our student organization, all 9 areas of engagement, and we will feed you. You will get so much free stuff and swag from local businesses that come. Skyline comes and gives away like 2,000 free cheese conies. When I was in college, if it was free, it was for me. So I loved Fresh Fusion even as a junior, senior, because I got so much free stuff and free food. So that's sort of like the big kickoff. And then we have an organization called our Activities Programming Board, short APB, and they plan a ton of fun activities. So if you're thinking about going into special event planning, marketing, PR major, you need to come see us and join APB. Side note, but definitely get engaged in one of those activities. And then we will have a hypnotist, we will have game nights, we will have live music, we will have DJs. One night we're going to turn the student union into a cruise ship. So if you want to go do some karaoke, you can go down there. If you want to do some painting, you can do that. If you want to play games with other students, and again, video games, we're going to have all kinds of stuff. And again, it's there to help you get acclimated, meet people, but also have a lot of fun as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Alrighty, so I know we're getting close to the end of our time here. And so before I turn it over to Lauren to make a couple quick announcements that we think is really important, I just a friendly reminder, if you have any last minute questions, please let us know. We're going to go into our rapid fire where I'll ask some of the last minute questions, and the staff and here will talk really briefly about a response to that to make sure we get through all the questions tonight. But Lauren, I do want to ask, this is the second webinar we've had in the last 2 weeks, and I know we've got a lot more planned to make sure we're providing support for our incoming students and their families. So do you want to talk about some of the upcoming events that we have for them?
Of course, I'd be happy to. So we have a few more webinars coming up that you can attend, and those will include one on April 20th, which is next Tuesday. That one's going to cover everything affordability. So how NKU really works to make the education experience affordable for you and your family. So not just financial aid, but how do we also include housing in and make that affordable for your students, or how can they get a campus job and what that experience is like. And then, how are they making sure that they graduate on time? So that makes it affordable as well. All of those different pieces and how we work with your students to ensure that when they're investing in their education, they're making a smart investment. That is April 20th. April 27th is a night all about career services, academics, and your return on investment. So you've invested all of this money into this education. What are we doing to make sure that you're a successful future alumni so that we can brag about you once you walk across that stage? So you'll get to talk with our career services office, as well as academic partners that will share with you more in depth about those different pieces. And then last but not least, April 29th is actually a student engagement session. So we're going to invite your students, and families are welcome to attend, but students will directly be invited to that event, whereas our families have been invited to these events. And the student engagement webinar on April 29th, which is a Thursday night, will actually be run and hosted by some student leaders on our campus. So they'll get to talk directly to our students and get those answers from our students about what their experience has been like. Do not worry if you miss any of these sessions, or maybe you have to leave a little bit early. We record them all, and they're all on our NKU YouTube channel, NKU Admissions YouTube. There's a playlist for NKU families. So check it out and you can see what you've missed.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren. And again, I don't mean to endorse the things we're doing here, but with the affordability one, we're going to talk also about the lending library. And our promise to you is if you attend that session and hear about the lending library, we can save you quite a bit of money on a textbook. So just by attending that, you could save, especially if you need a chemistry book that's $150. We'll give you a little tip about how you can get a free textbook for $150. And then obviously with the career and the engagement, those are so critically important. We talk with our students all the time. When a student comes in, we ask them, what do you hear at college for? Well, I need a degree. And we say, okay, that's 3 or 4 years away. What are you doing in between? And then we usually get a blank stare. And so the engagement in the career is in the alignment to your major is how we help you fill in that, so that when you do walk across the stage and shake the hands with the president, you're not just holding a piece of paper in your hand, you're holding a piece of paper that's going to empower you and make you competitive out in that job force and out in that graduate field. So with that, we've got a few rapid questions we're going to go here in the last 5 minutes. So Amy, first one goes to you. How many clinicians do you have on staff, and do they have specific specialties that they can help support students?
Yeah, great question. So we currently have, so I'm the director of counseling, and then we have 7 clinicians on staff. We also have 4 interns. So those are master level counseling and social work students who also participate in providing services, counseling services. And they do have different, we're from different disciplines, meaning like some of us are counselors, social workers, licensed marriage and family therapists. We have a counselor that is certified in alcohol and drug use, and so she is able to focus on that. In addition to that, we have counselors who are specialized in art therapy, trauma, sex and relationship therapy. So we have it's diverse as far as our training and our expertise. So we can kind of guide you to which person will be the best fit for you.
Perfect, thank you, Amy. Anna, who do you contact for scheduling a placement test?
So you can actually go right through NKU's testing services office. So there's the option to take the ALEX for math or the NKU Write for reading and writing. However, if you get confused about that, you can also contact the admissions office and they can point you in the right direction, but you can actually go right through the website for NKU testing services.
So Bill, I'll ask you this question. It's a targeted question, but it also kind of encompasses everything that we're talking about here too. If a student is looking to have a resume reviewed or help writing a resume, is there a cost to do that?
There is no cost to do that. We have resources on our website. Go on to job search resources on our website. There's a guide there that you can read on how to write a resume. Once you've drafted a resume, you can send it to us via email for us to review it. In the fall, when we're back in person, you can also stop by our walk-in hours and have somebody sit with you to go over that process with you. So whichever way you want to do in the fall, but right now we're doing it virtually because of COVID, but we will be back in person in the fall.
Yeah, and most, if not a large percentage of the services and programs we have on campus are no cost. So there may be some costs associated with the counseling session, or some student organizations may have a small cost, but for the most part, overall, all of this is part of your tuition. Absolutely. So I guess I could open this up. Maybe Lauren might be the best one for this one since you're already on, but when is the registration day?
Great question. And I'll also answer about Victorfest as well. So registration day is actually when the student chooses their registration day. So what will happen is that the student needs to confirm that they want to come to NKU. They do that by paying the confirmation fee, or if they have any reason to request a waiver, they can also do that by contacting the admissions office, and we will work with that student and make sure that they are either paying or waiving that enrollment confirmation fee. And once you pay your confirmation fee and commit to NKU, you'll be invited to Northern Exposure Orientation, and you choose your date. So there are a variety of half-day programs that are either in person or virtual, and you get to pick. Those will be in June, July, and I think a few in August. And then you'll get excited and ready for Victorfest, which will kick off with Move-In, and Move-In will start on August 19th. That may be one day. It also may be 2 days, depending on how much we want to ensure your social distance safety. So we will make sure that you are aware of that with your NKU email. We will tell you what day you're moving in, but Move-In Day will kick off Victorfest experience for you. The first 2 days of Victorfest are the August 20th and August 21st, and those are mandatory for freshmen. And then the rest of the days are highly encouraged and recommended to have a great time on campus.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren. We have 2 more questions here. Anna, you're going to get the second last one here. I know this is a pretty heavy, like a longer one, but try to keep it as short with due to time. But if a student is undeclared, is there going to be any help when they arrive to help them choose a major?
Oh, absolutely. So if you are an undeclared student, you are actually you have an entire advising center just for you. So undeclared students are advised through our Norse Advising Center, and their entire staff is dedicated to working with students who are undecided, undeclared. And so they have a special set of skills in that actually they work directly with you on knowing exactly, what's available to you all across campus. So they'll work with you on how to, use some of those career services options, on, what classes would be best if you're thinking about a number of different things. And then if you, once you've met with them and you've talked with them, and if you do then decide which major you want, they'll help transition you to the college and to the advising center for that particular major. So absolutely. We provide advising to every single student who comes into the university. You are assigned an advisor from the get-go. You will have a person, a name, somebody who will be there with you the whole process.
Perfect. Thank you. And I know those can be that's a pretty big question. I know there's a lot of elements to that, so I appreciate your response to that. And the last couple questions I'll go ahead and take, and they're a little bit targeted, and we don't necessarily have a quote unquote content expert here to answer it. And the reason we don't want to really answer is because some of these things are changing kind of daily as well. But there have been a couple of questions that came in about housing. And so yes, again, housing will be open for fall. But I know there were some questions around, if they were living in a certain residence hall, what is the occupancy level? How many students are going to be in theirs? If they're in a quad, are there going to be 4 students or 2 students? And there were also some questions around just even housing dorm selection and what does that look like. So what we will do is when this recording is emailed out to everybody, we will work with housing. They have an FAQ that provides these direct questions and responses to that. So we want to make sure we get the most accurate and up-to-date responses that are coming from housing. And so we will definitely follow up with that. And I don't want to speak out of turn when I say this, but in the last couple of years, I know for certain they have done an actual webinar around housing where you can come in. It's not one of like a giant presentation. It's more you come in, ask a question, kind of come and go as you need, and they dedicate that time for you to come in and do that. And I believe they'll probably be doing that for this year as the application opens up and as we head towards the beginning of the fall semester. So we'll definitely follow up with you on that. We know those are definitely ongoing questions. And so with that, we'll go ahead and want to thank everybody so much for coming tonight and dedicating your time to spend with us, to get to hear how we here at NKU support you through this coordinated care approach. Again, we've learned a lot of lessons from the pandemic, and taking those lessons and applying them to the future so that we can support students in this holistic aspect is everything that we do. Again, we're stewards of place here. We are a firm believer in the mission of a regional university to give back to our region and to support the citizens here in the region, and of course to support our students. And so us taking this approach of coordinated care, where we work with one another, work with your faculty, and more importantly, work with our students and work with our family and parents, that is so critical in the success of your student. And so that is something that we continue to invest and do a lot of things, investing in terms of those priorities to make sure we are 100% supporting your students. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll be able to join us for any of the upcoming webinars. But even if you can't join a webinar and you have some questions, please, I tell my students all the time, never leave the classroom with an unanswered question. Let me know what that is. And so please let us know. Feel free to contact anybody that was on this panel or contact admissions, and we'll make sure we provide a timely response so you have that information as you move forward. And with that, again, thank you. Have a great evening. It was great to spend this time with you. Take care.